Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a book haul. So it is October and I was feeling very inspired by spooky season. And so I picked up a number of like witchy type books, but also a lot of good historical fiction. I'm feeling the tug back into historical fiction and I'm really excited about it. And so I have a number of wonderful books to share with you today. So we better hop in because there's also a fair number of them to share with you. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been coming for a while. So like I said, I have a historical fiction / witchy book haul to share with you today. So I'm just gonna hop in. I shopped at like Book Outlet, ThriftBooks, a little bit of Amazon, but let's just jump in. So I picked up Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. So I have seen this book floating around for a while and it looks so good. It is a historical fiction book about this girl who is, I believe she's trying to track down her brother, and she's trying to go to New York City to do that. But during this time frame, it sounds like Chinese Americans were turned away from going to the US, and so she stowed away, but she stowed away on the Titanic. So it just sounds really good. I'm excited to get to that historical fiction book. And then I have this one. It's called The Last Garden in England by Julia Kelly. I have no idea what this is about. I honestly really liked the cover and I liked the idea that it's about England. So it basically sounds like it's about this garden that is told during multiple time frames, like present day, 1907 and 1944. So that sounds like pre-World War I, after World War II, and just the garden around this family's estate. So maybe it's a like family saga. Honestly, not sure, but I like the idea of it. And then this one sounds really good. So this is The Personal Librarian. This is by Marie Benedict, as well as Victoria Christopher Murray, which I didn't realize there was two on this, but Marie Benedict was who I recognized. I love The Other Einstein. I just love her writing style, how she really hones in on specific figures in history and then just kind of builds a fictional narrative around them. And to my understanding, she does a ton of research. And so this one is about a librarian in New York City. Sounds like she's hired as like JP Morgan's personal librarian. She works for a New York City library. She kind of gains traction in the society there, but she has this secret, and a secret being that she's actually the daughter of the first Black graduate of Harvard, but people don't know that. She has a pretty light complexion, and so I don't know, it just sounds really interesting. I haven't really heard of her character in history. It's Bella DaCosta Green is her name. So I picked that one up, and then I picked this one up too. I saw it on Book Outlet and I've had my eye on it for a number of years. One, just for myself to read, but also it's definitely on the list that I want to read with my kids. It's Sweep, the story of a girl and her monster. I'm not quite sure where it's set, but obviously it's historical in nature, back during the time of chimney sweeps. And it sounds like there's this girl who is probably poor, orphaned and alone, and she's forced to work as a chimney sweep, and I believe she gets like stuck or something in the chimney, which obviously was a huge hazard to that profession. But then I believe she like perceives this mysterious creature or a golem in the ash and soot of the chimney, and then it goes from there. Honestly, I'm not quite sure where it goes from there, but I've heard really good things about it, so I'm glad I picked it up. Here's another book that I picked up a little bit on a whim. I believe somebody recommended this book to me on my channel, so I recognized it and I thought I would pick it up. It's called Walk on Earth, a Stranger by Ray Carson. So it sounds like almost a historical fantasy, which is maybe why it was recommended to me. So it's about this girl who has like the power to sense gold, like in the earth, obviously, so the different gold veins and things like that. And then for some reason it sounds like she flees west to California. So I don't know, that just sounds really interesting. Next is this book, The Witch's Heart. This is by Guinevere Gornick, and one, it's a pretty cover. I've seen a lot of people read it, so it sounds like it has some like Norse mythology, so I didn't realize that. It has to do with Loki, and then it sounds like there's this girl or witch, and she flees to the part of the forest after some sort of like witch burning, and she meets Loki. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm not explaining that very well. So, oh, this one. Okay, I picked up this book. I know there's a number of books on this topic. I think Marie Benedict also has a book on this, but this is called The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. Okay, so this is about that time, I think it was like 3 days or 3 weeks when Agatha Christie went missing, and there's been a lot of speculation as to what happened, where she went, all of these things. And there's been a number of books written about that lately. And so this is historical fiction, but it sounds really good. So I picked that one up. Oh, and the next one, I saw this on Emily's channel, Our Schooling. So this is They Went Left by Monica Hesse, and I believe this is young adult or middle grade. So it sounds like this is a book post World War II, after the release of the prisoners from the concentration camps, and it's about this girl who is now 18 years old, and she is looking for her brother, I believe, because her and her brother were the only ones who went right and the rest of her family went left. And I think she's looking either for her brother or the rest of her family post World War II. Oh my gosh, that already sounds tough, but Emily made it sound so good, so I picked it up. Okay, so that was my book outlet order. And then I made some purchases from ThriftBooks, which, guys, it's hit or miss for me. This first one was a little bit of a miss. It said this book was in very good condition, which it's not. It's clearly in kind of bad condition, but I have to still take the plastic off and stuff. But this is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So it sounds like it's about this girl who is from a distinguished line of witches who finds this ancient book, and she is not interested in witchcraft, so she kind of looks at it and then puts it back in the deep parts of the stacks and just forgets about it. But I guess that was a reawakening of this book that had been lost for a while, and now all these people and or creatures like a vampire is now interested in this book. All right, that just sounds really fun. Okay guys, so the next ones I picked up are a trilogy, and I got this recommendation off of Angela's channel. So it's Literature Science Alliance, and I believe these are YA fantasy books, maybe new adult. I'm honestly not sure. I'm very bad at gauging that without reading it first. But the first book is called The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. And then the other two are The Reluctant Queen and The Queen of Sorrow. So book 2 and book 3. And so what it sounds like these books are about, or at least the first one, is about this world where there is this fight between the bad spirits and humankind. And really the idea is there's only one person who stands in the way of these spirits kind of killing all the men, women, and children in the land, and that is the queen, although the queen is human. And so there has to be all these understudies to the queen that can replace her if she dies, a sort of idea. And our main character, I believe, is one of those. And she is being trained up to replace the queen if something happens to her, and then things start happening. So I don't know what about that sounded really good, but when she was talking about it, I just felt like it would be a good light-hearted read. It just kind of reminds me a little bit of Sarah J. Maas. Okay, the next one I picked up is another witch book. So this is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. So this one sounds really good. It sounds like a group of sister witches, although I don't believe they start out that way. So we're talking 1893, so late 1800s. So I believe more like Salem witch trials. Yeah. So there's these 3 sisters who join the suffragists of New Salem, and it sounds like some stuff is stirring, and the sisters need to delve into old magic and develop new allegiances in order to fight back against that. So I don't know, it sounds kind of fun. Sounds like another good witch story. These are pretty big hardbacks, but I did not put together a spooky season TBR this year, but obviously I decided to haul a bunch of books, so maybe next year I will have a bunch to show you. So to move on from witch books, I have another historical fiction book. So this is, I believe, a YA historical fiction book, which is called When the World Was Ours by Liz Kessler. And this is about a group of kids pre-World War II who get together, and then they go off in different directions and different things happen to them. And I believe this story is about how their friendship draws them back together after everything that happens. And since it is more of a younger audience, I don't believe it's going to be too heart-wrenching, although, I mean, it is the topic of World War II. So I'm interested in that book. Another one that was kind of a cover by or inspired by BookTube sort of by was this one. So Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. I'm actually not sure what this is about. I saw Reagan from Peru's project just picked it up. So the beginning compares Michael J. Sullivan's work to a lot of different famous fantasy writers, such as Brandon Sanderson, J.R.R. Tolkien, which I love the Lord of the Rings. And so this is about fae, so fairies, and the fact that in this world, the humans really worshipped the immortal creatures, and they just really put them to a like godlike status until one of them is killed by a human, it sounds like. And then the balance of power all starts to tip, which just sounds like a very interesting premise. The other one I picked up, I've actually already read this, but I want to reread it, and that is B.E. Schwab's A Darker Shade of Magic. I got it from the library, I read it, I enjoyed it, but I want to reread it and I want to go on with the series because I find it to be a really interesting premise. So it's about this idea that there are multiple Londons and they all have different colors. So there's like red London, gray London, white London, black London, I believe. And the different Londons have to do with how much magic is in each. And then our main character, what is his name? Kel, is able to travel between the different Londons, which most people cannot. And by accident, something got brought through from one London to another, which is not supposed to happen. And it starts this kind of series of events in this first book, but it is the first of 3 books. So I wanted to pick it back up and give it another chance. The next book I picked up, I have been wanting to read it for a long time. And I have seen a number of people talk about it. And so it is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I think this sounds really interesting. So it's about this girl. She's a con woman. It's 18th century. So again, I like the historical aspect of it. So during one of her cons, she accidentally summons a Jinn warrior and it starts the ball rolling on different things. And so they have to like flee and they end up in this magical city, the City of Brass. And it goes from there. I'm not quite sure. It sounds like her very presence threatens to ignite a war. So I don't know. I feel like this is a favorite of so many people and I've been wanting to pick it up. Another favorite, which is a totally different genre, is this one. So this is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So this book sounds so fun. So it is about retirees in a retirement village who kind of band together and start this investigation club. So basically I think someone is murdered and then they get together and start to try and solve the murder, old person style. It sounds really fun and I've heard good things, and so I wanted to pick it up, and there's a number of other books in the series if I like it. So I'm gonna give that a go. So you can see there are a lot of first books in series here because I am finding that I love series. So, which segues into what I just picked up. I didn't mean to segue it into what I just picked up, but I picked up these books. Stalking Jack the Ripper, which I had initially borrowed from my sister, and then I picked up the other 3 books in the series. So number 2 is Hunting Prince Dracula, so I want to pick this up soon because I've just really enjoyed that book. Then I think number 3 is Capturing the Devil, and number 4 is Escaping from Houdini. So these are all historical thriller books about a girl named Audrey who is like from this rich family, late 1800s. She is so interested in science and intrigued by Jack the Ripper and some of those cases, and her uncle is involved in kind of forensic science, and she just kind of jumps all into this. And I really enjoyed this book, so much so that I bought the rest of them because I just find that mixture of the historical plus the thriller to be very interesting. This is a YA series, so it definitely has a bit of that, but I'm curious to see where the author takes the next 3 books as to if her character grows or where it goes from there. So I'm glad I picked up my own copies and I'm excited to get to them. But the last book, you guys, the last book on this big book haul is this one. So it's The Lost Girls of Willowbrook by Ellen Marie Wiseman. I have been wanting to pick up one of her books for a long time. She's a historical fiction author. She has written a number of books, but I picked this one up specifically to participate in Historathon next month. I'm so excited to start picking up some more historical fiction books. So look for my TBR coming shortly. But this book, let me tell you about this book. It is about this girl who had a twin. So she had a twin sister who seemingly died when she was younger, but then she finds out that actually she didn't. She was sent to this special home, but the special home was kind of terrible. So she was committed to Willowbrook State School. And then once Sage, the main character, learns about this, she goes to Willowbrook to try and find her sister, only to find out that she has recently been missing. And then I think she kind of learns about what's going on in the school. I've heard it's kind of emotional to read, or it's hard to read because it's based on a historical event or a real school that this actually happened. And so I'm looking forward to picking this up and participating in Historathon. So Yes, you guys, I have just picked up some really good books and I'm really excited for some of them. And some of them I didn't know exactly what they were about, but I am still very interested in them. And I'm so happy I picked them up and could share them with you today. But let me know down below if you're interested in any of these books. Have you read them? What are your thoughts? But otherwise, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and I will see you guys in the next book video. All right, take care.